What's going on, guys? Dots here from dotsgaming.com. And today I'm bringing you guys my Stamina Necromancer PvE build for the Elder Scrolls Online. So I get a lot of questions on my stream whenever I do trials on my Stamina Necro. Exactly what gear am I wearing and what stuff am I using? So I just want to cover my personal build that I'm currently wearing on my character. I'm also going to include a DPS parse at the end of this video. Do note that it is completely solo. I'll show you guys a 6 million parse. I have no outside major fracture, and the parse was about, I think, 42k, 41 or 42k without fracture, and that's pretty good in my opinion. I think that that's good, especially if fracture would have bumped that up a ton, and especially when I show you guys what gear I'm wearing. It's not 100% optimized. I'll tell you guys what you should do to optimize it, but I'm pretty proud with the numbers that this build pulls, and we're going to go over the rotation and everything so that you guys can be sure that you're set up for success inside of a PvE environment. So, starting with our monster set, we are using 2 pieces of Veladreth. Should not surprise anybody, Veladreth is a staple Stam DPS monster set. Probably going to change towards next patch with Veladreth being changed to only one of these disease spores being able to hit a single target. So it does give a line of weapon damage, and when you deal damage, you have a 20% chance to spawn 3 disease spores in front of you after a second that deal 14k damage to the first enemy hit, and it's going to occur once every 9 seconds. So I'll most likely be looking to probably change it to Selene's. I need to test out a couple of different monster sets, but for now, I'm obviously using Veladreth, and it's a really, really good set, and I recommend it a lot for your monster set. Now, the main 5 piece of the build should be no surprise. It is going to be Reliquin. So Reliquin, I don't have 2 of my pieces transmuted correctly. I am using 2 infused, unfortunately. The rest is Divines, but I still have 2 infused, which isn't too bad because it's on the chest and legs, but you would want those to be Divines. It gives a line of weapon critical, Minor Slayer for 5% increase to dungeon monsters, another line of weapon critical, and your light and heavy attacks apply a stack of harmful winds to your target for 5 seconds. Harmful winds deal 270 physical damage per stack, 20 stack maximum. Maintaining Reliquin on a target is one of the biggest things that's going to contribute to your DPS. So Reliquin literally rewards a proper rotation. So as long as you're perfectly light attack weaving in between your attacks, you're going to be able to maintain Reliquin very, very easily on your target, and the Reliquin damage really ramps up. You're gonna see while I'm parsing that my damage really ramps up over the duration of the parse, and that's because I'm stacking up those Reliquin stacking up the Reliquin 5-piece and making sure to keep those stacks up. So this is a very important, very, very important thing when you're attacking your target, to make sure that you are light attack weaving properly. Otherwise, you'll be losing out on a fair bit of damage from this set. But if you maintain these stacks, this is one of the singular best stamina DPS sets in the game. I highly, highly recommend it. I know some people go, but Dots, I can't do Cloud Rest. Cloud Rest, I'm telling you guys, if you can find a good normal pug grip for Cloud Rest, you can find one inside of, like inside Craglorn. It's really not too difficult. Honestly, the Cloud Rest normal +0 is really not too bad. You can do it with a pug group, in my opinion, pretty easily. This set's really not overly difficult to farm up. I'm still using the version from the normal dungeon, and I just improved it, and it's very, very good. So I really recommend putting in the time to getting it if you want to do trials, because it's bar none one of the best stamina DPS sets. It's really worth the time to farm. Now, obviously, we're going to go to my back bar set first. I am using the Maelstrom Bow, infused Maelstrom Bow. Just really good for increasing those volley ticks. It's super, super good. So again, it would be worth farming up. If you do not have the Maelstrom Bow, the Master Bow is a decent substitute for a time. And then if you don't have the Master Bow, using whatever your front bar gear set is, that bow was just going to be your best option for your back bar. Now, my current 5-piece that I am wearing is 5 pieces of Deadly. So I have a line of weapon damage, a line of weapon critical, another line of weapon damage, and it increases your physical, bleed, poison, disease damage abilities by 14%. So I felt that Deadly was a really good 5-piece for the Stamcrow, just because Stamcrow already does have a passive increase to its dot damage. So adding more on top of that is going to make my dots tick incredibly hard. And being that I also do use an axe for one of my weapons, I can increase that axe bleed even further. So my build deals a ton of dot damage. Just everything, all the dots in the build are super ramped up, and there's a ton of them in this setup. Now, I am aware that Deadly is not the best 5-piece set to use here. There is a better set, and if you can get it, I would recommend it, and that is Locustes from Sunspire. So it gives a line of weapon damage. The Minor Slayer is a bit redundant, so you really don't have a 3-piece bonus here. Another line of weapon damage, but the big thing here is that when you activate a synergy, you gain Major Slayer for 15 seconds, increasing your damage onto dungeon and trial monsters by 15%. So including Minor Slayer and Major Slayer, you are getting 20% increase of your damage to dungeon monsters. It's incredibly effective in a trials environment. Well, now you might be wondering, Dots, you have 5 pieces of Locustes. Why are you not wearing it? My weapons are not transmuted yet. I have precise empowered weapons, so I really can't use this yet. But once I do transmute these, I do plan to use these, obviously, on my Stamcrow. But for now, I do really believe that Deadly is a good weapon set. If you want the optimal weapons, I would recommend going personally with an axe and a dagger. I have a sword because the Deadly daggers were insanely priced when I checked, and being that I knew I was going to get Locustes in the future, I didn't want to shell out all of that money for a dagger that I was only going to be using temporarily. So I am using a sword, but if you can, I would highly recommend doing axe dagger. It's going to be better. The dagger crit is just super helpful, scales really well in a group environment as well. So in terms of weights and enchants and everything, I am wearing 1 piece of heavy and 6 pieces of medium. I am using, you would optimally want to use all divines. I unfortunately have 2 infused, but you'd want to use all divines, and then I am going all stamina enchanted. We are using triple weapon damage, and at the moment, I still have 3 robust. Optimally, I would like to have 2 infused, 1 bloodthirsty. So if you were going for optimal traits, I'd go for that. But right now, I'm still have triple robust, which even then isn't too shabby. You want to do a Nirnhone main hand with a poison enchant, a sharpened offhands with an increased weapon damage enchant, and a back bar infused bow with the restore stamina enchant. The sustain that this build has is very, very good. I am also a wood elf. I know everyone's going to be in the comments like, but Orc is the best in slot race for damage and blah, 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 blah. I mainly use Wood Elf for PvP, but I really enjoy it for PvE. I really do. If you run the Orc, you need to, shift your points around a little bit with your health and your stam, then run the Lava Foot food to make sure that you're getting enough recovery, because Stamcrow sustain is really bad. You need decent recovery. As you can see, I have 1500 unbuffed, and you really do need it. But I don't know. For me, I prefer to go with the slightly higher health pool, go up to 16.5k without ebb and health, and use a sustained race and try to bake in more damage, through like my rings and food and stuff. So I don't know. This is just the way I prefer to do it. If you want to go there's tons of other, Orc setups out there that'll show you how to move the attributes around and use the Lava Foot food, but I'm just going over what I personally am using at the moment, and so I work around this fact that I'm a Bosmer for PvP. Now, in terms of like other stuff, we have the Shadow Mundus. Shadow Mundus, it scales incredibly well with Necromancer because they already have increased crit damage passive as your opponent's health gets lower, so Shadow just works on top of that. I am using Dubious Cameron Throne food. Just a really, really good buff food. Again, I don't need the extra sustain from something like Lava Foot food because I am a Bosmer, so I can afford to just go all attributes into Stam and then use Dubious so I can actually get a little bit less Stam recovery than Lava Foot food, but I do get the health increase from Dubious, so that is very nice. So it does prevent me from being really overly squishy. And then our stats, like I said, are just our unbuffed stats. What we're looking at based off what I'm currently wearing is we have about 33k Stam, 16.5k unbuffed health, 3,400 weapon damage, 1,500 stam recovery. So very, very good stats that we're sporting on this build. In terms of our potion, I am using your normal weapon power pots, major brutality, major savagery, and restore stamina. These are your staple stam DPS potions for dungeons and trials. Make sure you are using these. You need to get brutality from your pots. Now, in terms of our skill list, we are, of course, running Venom Skull as our spammable. Should not be a surprise to anybody. Deals poison damage every third cast, deals 20% increased damage, and while slotted at casting any Necromancer ability while in combat counts towards this third cast. This is very important to note. Very, very important to note for our rotation. That last line, do keep that in mind. We also do have Rending Slashes. This is our dual wield bleed. Should not be a surprise to anybody. It's just a staple. We also have Detonating Siphon. This is our class AoE dot. So we deal 31k disease damage over 12 seconds with, on the ground and in between us and the corpse with the beam. And on the final tick, we get a disease explosion around our corpse that we used for 7.7k damage. And while slotted, we do just get a passive 3% damage increase, which is super awesome. We also have Blighted Blast Bones, which is going to be our kind of like burst guy, our AoE burst tool, and it just weaves it into the rotation beautifully. It's 15.5k disease damage every time this guy explodes, and it creates a corpse on death. We also have, of course, Rearming Trap, which gives us another dot over time. A damage over time. I don't even know what I'm trying to say, dude. You guys get what I'm saying. And it gives us, most importantly, Minor Force, increasing our critical damage by 10%. And this can proc twice, which is why Rearming Trap is so good. It's mainly the Minor Force, though. Minor Force is a huge damage increase. Getting that 10% damage, increase to your crits, very, very important. So Rearming Trap is a staple for Stam DPS. We also do have Flawless Dawnbreaker. Flawless Dawnbreaker is literally just here for the Fighters Guild passives. So we get the increased damage from the Fighters Guild passives, as well as 4% weapon damage increase from just having Flawless slotted. We've basically never used this ultimate because it does not hit super hard. As you can see, our Blast Bones hits harder than Flawless Dawnbreaker. Back bar, we use our Skeletal Archer. Skeletal Archer is going to be the pet that we use to get all of our passives from Gravelord, and in it is a dot. So incredibly important skill. It does not count as one, mind you, but it does act as one. Now, I don't have my Caltrops morphed yet, unfortunately. I know, dude, what a noob that this guy is. But you want to use Razor Caltrops, the one that deals damage on hit. But this basically is just it's just a ground AoE. Main reason we use it. We'll basically not be using Caltrops going into next patch. We will be using Soul Trap, but for now, we are still using Caltrops. We do have Endless Hail. So again, our bow ground AoE, this gets super energized and powered up from our Maelstrom bow. So we just got another ground AoE. We also do have Poison Injection, another dot to bring into the build. And it also deals up to 260% more increased damage to enemies under 50% health. We have Vigor for when we need to heal ourselves as well as allies. And our big ult that we're going to be using for the build is the Pestilent Colossus. Part of the reason that Necromancers are so highly desired for PvE content. This just not only deals a shit ton of damage, but Major Vulnerability is one of the best debuffs in the game, increasing a enemy's damage taken by 30%. This is a huge increase to your party's damage. Huge increase. This will be your only ultimate that you use. Like I said, you're never touching the front bar ult. This is going to be what you use. In terms of our champion points, I believe I have my PvE points set up. And I do. Okay, so starting with our blue CP, we have nothing over here. 66 points in a Master at Arms, 56 in a Thaumaturge, 56 in Precise Strikes, 36 in a Piercing, and 56 into Mighty. The 36 in a Piercing is important. You want to hit this number so it gives you the proper amount of penetration against your opponents. We also have 66 in an Ironclad, 33 into Spell Shield, 48 in Thick Skin, 56 in a Hardy and Elemental Defender, and 11 in a Quick Recovery. Do note that red CP will change a bit based off of your trial. I don't even think that's my base one. No, I think I set this up for Hoff. So my normal is actually 72 in Ironclad, 44 in a Spell Shield, 56 in a Thick Skin, 49 in a Hardy and Elemental Defender, and nothing in a Quick Recovery. But your red CP will change based on your trial. And I do have a guide on my website for best red CP per trial, so go take a look at that if you want to know how to set up your CP. Green CP, I have 56 in a Warlord, 2 into Sprinter, 75 in a Mooncalf, 49 into Tenacity, 44 in a Shadow Ward, and 44 into Tumbling. So that is our CP. And we're going to just go a slowed down. I'm going to show you guys a very slowed down version of the rotation. And then we are going to go into like a full parse that I'm going to add onto this video so you guys can see the rotation at full speed. Because I'm going to do this very slow. So you're going to notice dots drop off and stuff, but I just want to actually go through it. So one thing I want to note, obviously, light attack weaving with this build is incredibly important because of Reliquin. So you really need to make sure that you get your light attack weaving down. So it's just like light attack skill, light attack skill, light attack skill. You can see my Reliquin stacking up, okay? So if you guys need tips on how to properly light attack weave, please check out my animation canceling guide on my YouTube channel. So the way that we're going to start this, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pop our potion, okay? I'm not going to pop one just because we're doing this practice parse, but again, you want to pop a potion. Then you want to start on your front bar and go into Beast Trap. Bar swap. Then you want to use your Archer, Caltrops, Endless Hail, Poison Injection, use your Colossus if you have it, bar swap. Now, this is where the front bar is a little bit different, and we need to take into account that line from Venom Skull. While slotted, casting any Necromancer ability while you're in combat counts towards the third cast. We always want to cast Venom Skull on its third cast. That's very important. So on our back bar, the first run through the rotation, the Skeletal Archer is skill number 1, okay? Keep that in mind. So like I said, Archer, Caltrops, Hail, Injection, Swap, Blast Bones, Rending, Empowered Venom Skull. Okay? Then you want to go Blast Bones, Detonating. I don't have a corpse. Detonating, Venom Skull, Blast Bones, Trap, Start Over. That's the rotation. Okay, so basically the way the front bar goes, again, just to repeat, I'll just go through the full thing again. Like I said, I'm not lighting attacking, I'm just going through the skills. Like I said, light attack weave in between every single skill. But it's Archer, Caltrops, Hail, Injection, Blast Bones, Rending, Venom, Blast Bones, Detonating, Venom, Blast Bones, Trap, Swap. That's the rotation. You want to start with Trap, like I said, and make sure that you light attack weave in between every single skill. But that is our rotation. It's a really fun rotation. I actually really enjoy it. You just lay down all your dots on your back bar, which we have a ton of. That's why I like to use Deadly before I got my Locusties, because we have a dot from Rending, a dot from Detonating, a dot from Rearming Trap. We have a dot from Caltrops, a dot from Endless Hail, a dot from Poison Injection, a dot from our Poison Enchant, and a dot from the Axe Bleed, and Reliquant. I think Reliquant technically counts as a dot, so I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it does. So Deadly it gives you so much dot increase, man. That's why I liked it as a set for this build. I thought it was really appropriate. But again, obviously Locusties is going to be your goal, but I'm just using Deadly for the time being. But that's the rotation, guys, and that's the build. So if you guys have any questions about the rotation, the build itself, please feel free to leave a comment below. Like I said, I'm going to show you guys a full parse with this build. Again, do keep in mind there is no major fracture, so my parse is a little bit lower than I can achieve. Would be higher, but still, man, I was pretty happy. 41, 42k without major fracture, very good, I think, anyway. And if you guys like this build, please sub, as well as hit the bell, keep notifications on. Like I said, Stamina Necros in general are just one of my favorite classes for PvE. They're incredibly fun, incredibly potent. Major vulnerability is such a good debuff. So I highly recommend Stam Crow for PvE if you're thinking about picking up a new class for PvE. It's really fun. So I want to thank you guys so much for stopping by today's video. I very much appreciate it. Enjoy the damage parse, and like I said, any questions, leave a comment below. As always, I'm Dots Gaming, and I'll see you all in the next one. Once you have awakened the fallen, now you have awakened the fallen. Now are you gonna try? Now you have awakened the fallen. And so I hold my head up high, keep thinking everything is gonna be alright, as long as we pray to the God that belongs to our day.